Hey there. Trust me when I say that trust issues are no joke. And when they stem from a toxic mother, they can seriously mess with your adult personality and relationships. Can you believe you can't even do that? After everything I've done for you, this is what I get in return. Why is it that every other kid can do it? Now, come on, folks, don't be shy. Raise your hand if you've ever heard these words echoing in your mind from your childhood. Maybe your mom had a go-to phrase that made you feel guilty for even trying. Or maybe it was just a look that made you want to crawl under a rock. Either way, we know the struggle and you're not alone. So go ahead and drop a comment if these phrases hit a little too close to home. We won't judge, we promise. Trust is like a house of cards. It takes time, effort, and careful attention to build a solid foundation. But what happens when that foundation is shattered by a toxic mother? Suddenly, trust becomes as elusive as a unicorn in the wild. Maybe your mom was the queen of broken promises, the grandmaster of gossip, or the ultimate self-centered parent. Or maybe she was a master of emotional manipulation or treated you like a precious but suffocated bubble child. No matter how it happened, the scars of a toxic mother-child relationship can follow you well into adulthood. You might find it difficult to trust others and establish deep, meaningful connections. You may struggle to develop a strong sense of self and feel like you're constantly seeking validation from others. But don't worry, my friend. I've been there, and I know that healing is possible. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to confront the past, but it's worth it in the end. You can learn to set healthy boundaries, develop self-compassion, and establish meaningful connections with others who truly value and respect you. If you've ever experienced the betrayal, emotional manipulation, or lack of boundaries that often accompany a toxic mother, you know just how damaging it can be. It's like trying to navigate a minefield without a map. You're constantly on edge, never knowing when the next explosion will hit. And when trust is damaged, it can be like trying to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Nearly impossible. Trust issues can seep into every aspect of your life, making it difficult to form healthy relationships, open up to others, or even trust your own instincts. Trust is a big deal for any child, especially when it comes to their relationship with their mother. A healthy mother-child bond is built on a foundation of trust, where the child feels safe and secure knowing that their mother will always be there for them. For me, the lack of trust meant I couldn't rely on my mom even when I needed her the most. It meant feeling like I couldn't tell her anything without fear of judgment or rejection. It meant constantly wondering whether she would put her own needs before mine and whether she would betray my trust. As a child, I remember wanting to confide in my mom about my worries and fears, but I was always met with dismissiveness and indifference. I would try to talk to her about the things that were bothering me, but she would either brush me off or tell me that my problems were not important. I quickly learned that I couldn't count on her for emotional support or guidance. Let me tell you a little story. When I was just a wee lass, I quickly learned that my mother was not a safe haven for me to turn to. It was like tiptoeing through a field of landmines. One misstep and I'd be blown to smithereens. For instance, if I didn't do so well on a test, her immediate reaction was to hit me with a truckload of maternal guilt. It was like emotional blackmail on steroids, and I was powerless against it. She'd make me feel like a failure, even though I knew deep down that I was still a smart kid. After that, I knew I couldn't trust her with my vulnerabilities. I couldn't open up to her, knowing that she'd just twist the knife even deeper. It was like going into battle, knowing that you'd come back with even more wounds than before. So I learned to keep my guard up, to hide my true feelings from her and from the world. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary for my survival. And while it might have protected me in the short term, it left lasting scars on my psyche that I'm still working through today. As I got older, the lack of trust continued to affect me in profound ways. I found it difficult to form close relationships with others because I had learned to keep my guard up and not let anyone get too close. I would constantly question the motives of those around me, wondering if they were really there for me or if they would ultimately betray my trust like my mom did. The impact of my toxic mother's behavior on my ability to trust has been significant, and it's something I'm still struggling with to this day. But I'm learning to take it one day at a time, to set boundaries and communicate my needs, and to seek out healthy relationships with people who truly have my best interests at heart. In our next video, we're diving into the struggles of emotional expression that so many of us face as a result of our toxic mothers. From bottling up our feelings to lashing out at the worst possible moments, it's time to unpack this emotional baggage and learn how to heal.